Hi, I'm Bob Tremblay, and today we're here at my home in north central Massachusetts. It's Columbus Day weekend, and right now the fall colors are in peak, and there really is no more beautiful place, I think, in the whole planet than this area at this time of year. And so today, myself and my friend Phil, we are going to go out hiking on the Tully Trail, which is just a few miles away from where we're standing right now. And the Tully Trail is a great hiking resource. It's a 22-mile loop trail. So you can literally start at one spot and hike for 2 days and come back to your beginning point, which is really unique in terms of long distance trails. And not only is it unique as a loop, but it's really spectacular. It goes through some really nice remote backcountry. There are waterfalls, there are overlooks, and it is going to be spectacular today. We have deep blue skies and we have radiant bouquet of colors in the woods right now. So Phil, this is going to be a great hike. I hope you're looking forward to it.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a beautiful day for a hike. You know, I'm looking definitely forward to it, and I think we'll have us a good time.
All right, we have our day packs packed and we're ready to go. So here we are on the Tully Trail, and what's so unique about this trail is that in its 22 miles, it goes through so many different environments. Right now, the trail is falling right along the shores of Tully Lake, and this is a beautiful, fantastic lake. We're seeing signs of beaver here. You know, the fall colors are reflecting in the water's surface. The trail is going to bring us up to a ridge where we're going to see waterfalls and spectacular views looking up into Vermont and into New Hampshire. So we have a glorious day to be hiking, so we're really glad to be here. Ready to continue, Phil?
Let's do it. All right.
How you doing, Phil?
Doing good.
All right, so we just came up this very steep hill. It just follows a direct line along these power lines. And even though the trail's following the power lines, it's a beautiful walk, because the higher you get, the better the view gets. We're actually looking up into New Hampshire right now at this point. So anyway, we'll catch our breath and then hike on. Oh, Phil, look what we have here. So this gives us a great excuse to catch our breath, but this is a very interesting plant. This is a plant called sweet fern. It's called sweet fern because it looks like a fern. If you look at these leaves, they're very fern-like looking, but this is not a true fern. You can see right here, it's actually a woody herbaceous shrub, so it's not an annual fern. It's called a sweet fern because of the very distinctive smell. You kind of smell some of these leaves. Sometimes you actually find this plant by smell as opposed to finding it, just seeing it. Anyway, the sweet fern, this is a great plant to know. This is a pioneer species plant. It's a first succession as the forest is kind of spreading into and trying to fill in a field, which is what it's doing here. So the forest is trying to advance into this, the tension wire cutting here. But what's so unique about this sweet fern is that these leaves are a great cure for poison ivy. So if you have a poison ivy rash on your hand, you can take some of these leaves and you can rub them very aggressively right on the rash, almost give yourself a grass stain. And then what happens is that the oil that's inside of the sweet fern actually negates the oil in the poison ivy, and this will dry up the rash on contact. This is the single best cure I know for poison ivy, better than anything you can get anywhere else. So a very, very good plant to know. So this is sweet fern. Grows in sunny areas, in fields, in pretty poor soils. And you can even take these leaves, put them in a Ziploc bag and freeze them. So if you have a problem with poison ivy, this is the thing you want to know. So here we are at Royalston Falls, one of the real highlights of the entire Tully Trail. The falls are falling 40 feet down this cliff face behind me, and then the river is flowing through this narrow granitic gorge that goes for about a mile before the woods opens up, and then the river flows into Tully Lake, which we had seen earlier. This is a really beautiful remote area. Where we are right here, this forest has the highest population density of moose in the entire state of Massachusetts. And it's a pretty easy affair to hike a little bit off trail and find moose droppings or moose footprints or even moose sign where they've been browsing on the trees. This is a really spectacular area. In the winter, this falls freezes up, and we come out here and we set up ropes and we actually climb these with crampons and ice axes. Really a spectacular place. As we go further upriver, there's actually natural stone bridges that the river has cut itself through. This is really a spectacular, very, very unique place. When we were on the big lakes on my canoe trip, sometimes you're wondering where the trail goes, like which bay it goes into or something. Okay. And so I would just hold my camera up as I was taking a picture, and it would give me a map of the lake. Oh, look what we found here. This is really interesting. So in this area right here, we have this whole jumble of rocks. And this jumble of rocks creates a lot of shelter opportunities that wildlife can take advantage of. And what we have right here is we have a porcupine den. So the porcupines reuse these all the time. So if you look in here, we can see this den is filled with porcupine pellets. So the porcupines eat the twigs up on the branches, they come down here, and this is basically where they're depositing, their feces. And we can see that this is very fresh because right in the center here, we can see there's some fresh urine. So we know the porcupine was probably here within the last few hours. So this is very exciting. Sometimes if you look really close and look through here, sometimes you can actually find some of the porcupine quills, and they're very, very interesting. The quills are actually their hair, and they're long, they're rigid, they're hollow, and they have barbs on the end. And if you get poked by the barb, it actually sticks into your flesh and can actually kind of come out. So they use their quills as protection. But anyway, this right here is very clear evidence of the presence of porcupines living here, and also living here very recently. So very exciting. I don't want to disturb them. Maybe there's one in there now. So one of the things that's also doubly unique about the Tully Trail is this northern part of the loop actually coincides and shares the trail bed with the New England Trail. So what we see on this tree is the Tully Trail is blazed with yellow blazes. So when you're doing this loop, you follow the yellow blazes. The white blaze is because we are also on the New England Trail. And the New England Trail, we can see the sign right here, the New England Trail is the newest addition to the country's National Scenic Trail System. So the New England Trail is just like the Appalachian Trail or the Continental Divide or the Pacific Crest. So it's a long distance hiking trail. It starts just a couple miles from here. It actually begins, its northern terminus is on the Massachusetts-New Hampshire line, and then it comes down through here, crosses Massachusetts, goes all the way across Connecticut down to Long Island Sound. So for a total of 215 miles. So the New England Trail is the newest addition to the National Scenic Trail, and right here the Tully Trail and the New England Trail are one. So kind of unique. You're actually hiking two trails at one time. We don't always really connect, doing two different things. This is incredible. We're out here hiking and we just saw this old wild turkey sitting on a log. Just, you can kind of see, this is a real senior citizen. He really doesn't have much energy. I think he's just waiting to pass. And as you can see, I was able to come over here, I was able to pick him up. He's really just all feathers and bones, This poor old bird doesn't have much life in her. It's an old hen. It looks like the flock has abandoned her, and I think she's pretty much on her last days. It looks like her feet are a little red. They're probably a little raw. You can see her eye is almost closed. But anyway, I can feel her drumstick right here. Very, very skinny. I bet she hasn't eaten in a week or so. So this is a tired old bird, kind of near the end of its life. So kind of incredible. I've never caught a wild turkey with my bare hands before. But I'm going to let her go. And, you know, thank you for gracing our wilderness. Be well. There she goes. All right, so this Tully Trail is so unique. Is not only does our trail bring us by a beautiful lake that's filled with islands, it brings us up this high ridge with a spectacular view looking into New Hampshire and Vermont. It brings us into the deep gorge with the waterfall that's flowing along. It also brings us by this really unique old historic cemetery. So as we look here, we're seeing headstones here that are dated from the 1800s. So this is all from when this entire area was farmland at one time, which is now all since regrown and been reclaimed by the forest. But it's just another example of just what a unique New England hiking experience the Tully Trail is, all packed into a 22-mile loop. So, you know, just can't be beat. Well, here we are back on Tully Lake after doing our whole loop on the Tully Trail. Just a fantastic fall day. Actually, what we did is, it's a 22-mile loop. We did 11 miles of it today. So we did sort of the eastern half of the loop. So there's another whole half that's every bit as interesting, every bit as wild as this part that we did today. So tomorrow is going to be just as beautiful, and I'm going to try to get out here if I can. But spectacular fall day. It does not get any more beautiful than it does in the fall season here in New England. So thanks for joining me today, Phil.
Oh, it was great.
Yeah.
Definitely a good hike.
All right, sun's getting low. I think it's time to maybe head off and find something to eat.
Let's do it.